A couple months ago, my daughter went to visit my family back in the States, and she brought back with her all those other signs that I had made, those weather signs. And while she was there, she went up to the lake with them. My two brothers and my sister all have different places on this one lake. And hanging in the main lodge is this picture of the lake in like 3 dimension, different layers. And then they asked me if I could make that for them. So that's what we're going to do. I've always wanted to try this. Now, there are different ways to cut this out. And if I look at the picture, and I'll show it to you, um, it looks, they could have either one done this with a CNC machine and actually just cut out the different layers of plywood. Just get yourself a 1 inch thick piece of plywood, since they go in different directions anyways. Because if I look at that picture, the grains are going in opposite directions. So that's it gives it a little bit more depth, I think, if they're actually doing that. So that's what we're going to try and do. So as you can see, the black part here is the actual lake, and so everything on the outside of that is going to be the main size. And since I'm not sure what I'm going to put on here yet, I'm not going to do this part, but I'm going to start with this inner one right here. And like I said, it goes all the way around, and that's the hardest part, is to try and find something on the internet, topographical representation of the lake you got with depth charts, but so that they're actual clean, smooth lines so that the laser can actually read it. And this, like I said, this is my practice burn, and everything has its place. And what's nice though is when you're cutting this out, it doesn't matter if you cut it wrong or you go outside of your line, because it's just a representation of the lake. It's not set in stone that that's exactly the curvature of the depth. So yeah, you can kind of play with this and move it around wherever you want. But since I know that this is going to be my actual size of the front plate, the other plates are going to get smaller and smaller probably as we go. So just so I can save on time, or no, save on time, but save on material, I'll start with the big one first. So that's actually this line. And this line, I'll cut out everything on the inside so that I'm working on this piece right here. What I want to make sure is that if my wood grain is going this way on this one, it's going this way for this piece, like that. That way it gives it a little character. Okay, so I've got my first 4 layers cut out, or lasered out. I'm not so much worried about this inside. So what's difficult is when I'm looking at this, trying to picture it, I have to remember this is all negative space. I don't need this part in the center. So I'm going to cut these all out and then put these 3 together, and then go back to my online picture that I found, and then start to figure out all the ones that are up here as to which depth they go with. If it's the 3s, the 5s, the 10s, the 15 or 20, whatever depth this one is. It's hard to visualize it unless you start to put it together. So let me cut these 4 out, and I'm probably going to use the scroll saw for this. I think this looks like a good job for it. I mean, I could easily probably do this with a jigsaw, but I haven't used the scroll saw in a while, so I'm going to pull it out of the dust. We'll hook it up, and we'll drill some pilot holes in these 4. Start cutting them out. I think I only have 2-way blades, which means I can go any which direction I need to. That. according to the map, that would be the 10 or the 20. Yeah, and that's the, because that's a 20, that's a 10, so that'll be even. So I'm going to start gluing up a couple of these pieces actually right now. Flip it over. Let me do a quick trace. Let's put some glue on here. While the main part is burning in the laser over there, the actual lake area, I'm gonna stain this. And I've decided that I'm gonna use this. It's called Bondex, the company, and it's teak. It's actually one of my favorite stains for doing wood projects. So I'm going to see how this looks in here. I mean, I know how the color itself looks, but I'm not sure with all the different angles and the different depth. Hopefully it does get darker in certain areas. But that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna stain about, I don't know, a couple inches around from the outside. I don't have to stain this whole thing, but just enough to get around the lake. I can kind of judge it by this pattern over here. So let us do that now, because I actually have to leave in about a half hour, go to my son's soccer game. So for now I'm gonna stain this and let it dry while I'm gone. And I'm gonna use a brush because I figured it'd be a lot easier to get into the depths. I think I got enough in there. Now I just gotta make sure I got all the sides. So let's go ahead now and we'll set up the saw again. Oh, it's already set up. Let me drill my pilot hole and we're gonna cut this out. That scared the shit out of me. Alright, so I've already got the first two sides done, as you can see. Now I got the third and fourth side done. And now I'm going to glue on the back. So I'm going to put glue all the way around the edges and then put the back plate on. Alright, we got good glue squeeze out everywhere. Yeah, I'm not worried about the glue because I'm gonna sand it down on all four sides. So now I think we're done for the day. I'm gonna let that sit overnight. It is 7:30 and I'm gonna go watch some Game of Thrones. Since I'm doing end grain, I am gonna glue both sides. Or I'm gonna put glue on both sides. Might be a little excess, but I wanna make sure there's no gaps. Alright, since my frame is much taller now, I'm gonna lower the whole floor down. so we got Lake Osakis on one side and the Great Outdoors on the other. I think that turned out really well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stain it with some teak to get a little bit darker to match the inside part of the lake. And then we're almost done. Then we're going to glue this up, the frame around that after this dries. But let's put on some gloves here and throw some stain on this. Okay, so I sanded off the area where I put the wood putty in. So I'm going to restain this part right here at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to stick on the two little signs. And then we're going to wrap this thing up. So now I've got the overall dimensions of the lake itself. And then this is a picture that my brother took of his daughter. And I burnt it onto a piece of wood. I think it looks really good. It took a little bit to try and get the fishing pole to line up or to show up. But it turned out really well this time. So we're going to put that on here in this top left corner. We're going to glue these on here. Be good. A little bit in the corner here. Well, I think that's a wrap. We're going to call this good. I'm not going to glue this one in here. That way I can remove it when I send it to him. And then he can just stick it in there when he gets it. But as for now, I think I'm going to call this one done. But thank you for watching. And please, if you like what you're seeing, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. And you'll know when I put out another video. Again, thank you.